Honorable Men Discord. Tuskegee University has a new dress code. Let's talk about it.
How you see yourself is how you perceived. I see a man strong, gifted, head strapping, never down on his knees, begging. Gotta make a way, even in my darkest hour. Say the odds against me was new. I would never cower.
As always, welcome back to another episode. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I drop episodes daily at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. The do-rag, the back-fitted hat, snorkels, and furs, Rikers Island bus is still packed. What's the word? I just had to say that. If you don't know who that is Nas. And today's episode is about Tuskegee University and their new policy, dress code policy, which is informing students that they no longer could show up to class with do-rags and bonnets. I have a few things queued up, reactions to this new dress code, and I'm going to speak my mind periodically through the clips. So let's get into the first one.
University has incorporated a new dress code policy on their campus, which has sparked outrage across the entire HBCU community. I am appalled. Starting this fall, these MFers are banning do-rags. Dude, they're banning culture from our own culture. This is diabolical. Now, they're also banning bonnets, slippers, and pajamas, but my main thing was do-rags. The thing that we, the blacks, have made stylish across all of the world, not the city, not the state, not the country, but the whole world. Everybody wears do-rags because we styled these mother-uppers up. Tuskegee, I understand you got this narrative, hey, we want to prepare them for the corporate world. No, you want to prepare them to live in a white man's world. That's really what it is. Which is crazy to me because they've always told us blacks, don't get no tattoos. You're not going to get a job when you get older. Then you get older, and now everybody you see at work got a face tat and hands tat. Why do you think that is? Who moved that? Who made that rule? So now all the whites get it. Oh, now it's cool. Oh, yeah, you can get tats now. No, we need to stop trying to prepare people to live in a white man's world. When we can clearly see that we, the blacks, specifically black Americans, influence the entire world of culture. They say we don't have culture, but we literally inspire the entire world on how to dress and how to be and how to talk and how to walk. I've had gold hoop earrings in my ear for 12 years. You're not going to catch a stud in my ear unless it got something to do with DJ Carrington, but that's a completely different story. It really bothers me when folks that are 50, 60 and above making rules for the youth telling us we need to conform to back in their day when they was all, we need to be close to the white man. And when I say the white man, please don't take this as something racist. Everybody knows what I mean. I'm talking about that type of culture that we've always been conditioned to say, hey, we need to be like them to be accepted. Because we don't. Going to an HBCU is the only time in your life you are allowed to be black. You are allowed to live in a world of just nothing but blackness for those short amount of years until you got the rest of your freaking life trying to conform to the white man's culture with so much judgment. I remember I first went to my HBCU, and the football coach we had at the time had a rule saying all football players must shave their beards. And it confused me. I say, bro, we not in the 60s, man. Oh, we got to look professional. No, we have to look like the white man that you want to impress. We, the blacks, have beards. We going to get bumps on our freaking chins. We don't need to be like them. Stop doing that to us. Let us be us. They want to look like us. We shouldn't have to keep trying to look like them. We just way too swaggy for this, man. The main thing should be the main thing, which is education. We are the greatest inventors on this planet, and we've done it with swag since the beginning of time. Stop trying to unswag us. Stop trying to say, you don't need to be an individual. You need to be... Stop. Let us be swaggy. I get you can ban weed, you can ban alcohol, you can ban sagging, you can ban being musty. That makes sense. But banning style, that's a no-no. This is ours. Stop banning our culture inside of our culture. It makes zero sense. With that being said, Tuskegee University's class of 2016 has a 10-year anniversary coming up. So does Central State University. We must all band together. They reached out to me before, so this is dear to my heart because they were inspired by me making a video for my class of 2016 from Central State University to say, hey, we have our 10-year anniversary coming up. It's going to be the best ever. They say, hey, we need this interview too. So we worked together on that. I say, hey, best of luck to y'all. Everybody, if you class of 2016, we will not allow any of y'all 10-year anniversaries to be interrupted by this bull crap, okay? All HBCUs, they got a 10-year anniversary coming up for the class of 2016. It's going to be the greatest year ever. We're not letting no policies F it up. We it's a team. In conclusion, bro, stop trying to whitewash our culture inside of our culture. Who are these people being in charge? I know it's people who are not even from America. I'm not trying to say that, but when you go to HBCUs and you start listening to your professors, you hear their accents, everybody know what I'm talking about. We, the Black Americans, move culture around the world. It's time for us to stop, take a breath, and say, hey, we are enough. We don't need to change shiz-I-E. I said I wasn't gonna cuss. Let us be great. We smart. We gonna do it. Much love, like y'all. Y'all be great.
Okay. He said a lot. I'm not going to be able to respond to everything he said because I didn't get a chance to jot it down. First things first, we don't all wear do-rags. All right? Yes, some of us do. I come from a generation where you wore do-rags, you were actually wearing it to get waves. Now I'm seeing people with bald heads with do-rags, people with the type of texture here that can't form do-rags. I myself tried getting do-rags and it was just too much work. I stopped doing that. I'm talking about back when I was in my 20s. I wore do-rags to try to get some waves. But I get it. You want to be comfortable. You want to be great. You're great at what you do, so you look at it as a distraction for the school to now impose a do-rag ban and a bonnet ban. But here's the thing. As you'll see as I go through this episode, they're only banning it from certain locations on the campus. All right. One, particularly the classroom. Here's the thing I have to say to this gentleman in regard to do-rags and bonnets. Whatever happened to just the not wearing hats when you walk in a building, the gentleman's clause, if you will. We're far gone from that. People walk around in buildings with ball caps and fitted snapbacks. Whatever happened to that? Now you can say that's European culture, but it sets a standard of class. It has nothing to do with necessarily, even if it was brought over by the Europeans, it's a level of class that you should have. And when you are focused on school, there's a time and place for everything. It's not the end of the world to not have to wear. To not be able to wear, I should say, a do-rag or bonnets in a classroom. It's really not the end of the world. And then where does it stop there? I feel like we as an older statesman, I notice it seems like we're in a time and place where everything is being challenged because people want ultimate freedom, but it's not necessarily making society better at the same time. It's actually bringing society down. Everybody wants to, and I'm not talking about one particular race. I'm saying everyone is pushing the button. Maybe it's a United States issue. I don't know if these type of things are happening in other countries. They probably are not happening in other countries because there's stricter governments in other countries. But the freedoms we have in the United States is just becoming abused. You could blame it on the Democrats, however you want to frame it. The freedoms that we have is a beautiful thing, but at the same time, it's overly exploited and utilized. What are we talking about right now when we're talking about bonnets? And it's not the end of the world to enter a classroom and not have your bonnet or a do-rag on. The same way it's not the end of the world to walk in a building and remove your ball cap. When you go into certain buildings, government buildings, the court, if you go to court, family court, criminal court, you have to remove your hat. You're not going into court with a do-rag and a bonnet because you're great and because you're brilliant. They don't care about that. There's just certain things that are implemented in this world no matter where you go, and you're going to have to abide by it. The same way they're imposing this. I know at one point in time, I guess you could go in a classroom with a do-rag and a bonnet, but things have changed. It's not so far-fetched from the outside world that you're going to have to adapt to once you graduate. So just look at this as growing pains about life and some of the places that you're going to interact in. Then another question I have for this gentleman is, what's your major? What are you majoring in? Now, depending on what you're majoring in, it may not, those type of rules might seem frivolous and just nonsensical because of the type of major that you're going into, and I can understand that. But if you're going into a professional setting, if you're studying law, If you're going into healthcare not so much. I mean, I guess you can be a doctor walking into a hospital with a do rag on, and then when you get to the locker room, take it off. I guess. But then that would be the same thing as what the school's saying. The school's saying just don't go into the classroom with it. So could you be a doctor in the OR with a do rag on? I doubt it for sanitary reasons, but I'm exaggerating by using a doctor, but that's the first thing that comes to mind. What settings are you going into work with the do rag on? In what corporate settings? What healthcare settings? What settings are you going to be able to wear a do rag or a bonnet in? So if there aren't that many settings in jobs that you can do that in, why fuss about it being banned from the university? I mean, that's just my thought on it.
So my mom just called me asking about the Tuskegee dress code situation. And she only specifically mentioned the bonnets and do-rags. And I was confused. I was like, them only picking on the bonnets and do-rags at a HBC was a little bit odd. But turns out they said no pajamas, slippers, bonnets, do-rags, revealing clothing to class, I believe the cafeteria, and maybe a few other places on campus. And I'm an HBCU grad myself, Hampton University class of 2023. And I'm going to get more serious than this when it comes to dress code. I used to purposely disguise myself to go to the cafeteria on Wednesdays so I didn't have to be in business pro just to go eat lunch. So when it comes to the outrage, I'm a little bit confused because where did it come from? One, are the kids wearing the bonnets and do-rags and pajamas to class right now, maybe during summer school? Were they doing it last year? Were they already planning on doing it? And people are deflecting, saying there's other issues on campus. Okay, we can talk about both of those at the same time because time and place is a very important part of getting an education and becoming an adult in this world that can go into professional or careers or go down a certain path. Why are we upset they said don't wear your inside clothes outside? And baby, I don't get my mail like this, but it gets to a point. Revealing clothing, babe, put some jeans and a t-shirt on from your class that's from 5 to 6, go to your dorm room and put in your crop top and your booty shorts and take your swig of whatever your big gave you, and that's the time for the revealing clothing. Why are y'all pressed to wear that type of stuff to class? There's plenty of opportunities to wear outside of class. You only in class 15 hours a week. And in terms of change, like, baby, I was at Hampton underneath the thumb of William R. Harvey the first 3 years. And then it changed to what the new guy, I forgot. He was cool, though. So I saw changes actively be happening throughout all my 4 years. Hampton don't play. They said, we don't like this. We're going to say something about it. So when it comes to the dress code situation, all y'all on social media, freshmen, whoever, that's a little bit upset and prickly about it, hold off. Because they're not going to listen to you on social media. They don't care. Y'all still paying the bills. And whether or not y'all follow it, they got their money. And in terms of going to class, okay, don't go to class. It gets to a point. But if you actually want to make something shake, get on that campus, join some orgs, find some older people, older students that are in organizations that can actually make you change, SGA, caucuses, Mr. and Miss, whatever it is, that can actually do something about it and go do something about it. But sitting here on social media with your mama and your daddy upset and all these creators, that's not going to change anything. We also want to change the HBCU cultures. Like, I've seen it change, but this social media on here doing, like, that's not going to do it. I say all this to say, like, if there's other things that actually need to be fixed on the campus, go and do it. And you got to have on a full shirt and some appropriate pants and your hair presentable enough to do it, then go do it like that, y'all. Like, this is a battle that's not worth fighting for real right now. Like, y'all ain't got it to wear bonnets and do rags and inside clothes outside yet. Like, let's be a little bit for real. So my mom just called me asking about the Tuskegee dress code.
It's almost like practice. What are you practicing for by wearing a bonnet and a do-rag in an educational setting, where the main and prime objective is to learn something new that can benefit you into your future? I mean, how comfortable you need to be. You need to be comfortable at home when you're studying. When you're doing your homework, you need to be comfortable there. But in the classroom, you need to be focused. And yes, you can be focused whilst wearing comfortable clothing, but it's not necessary. You could wear comfortable clothing that's not pajamas or a bonnet or a do-rag. It's not too much to ask for anyone to be able to sit down in the classroom without those things. It's been done before. And let me just say, we came into this world without do-rag and bonnets on our heads. So it's not impossible.
Ban do-rags in class, and we got upset about the wrong thing.
My grandfather had no formal education, but he was a medic in World War II, a deacon for 30 years in the church. And I never once saw that man in sweatpants. Not once. See, he's comfortable with slacks and a sweatshirt. I've seen him mow his lawn in creased pants. MLK didn't leave his house in a do-rag, and neither did my grandfather. Two of the best men I've ever known, and neither one of them ever needed comfort to be great. So somebody tell me when comfort became the standard. Because on these HBCU campuses, those professors got up early to serve you. There's a recruiter who flew in to find you. There's a future doctor, a future judge, a future entrepreneur, a future executive, a future director who's sitting 2 seats away, who's going to remember exactly how you showed up. And we don't get to choose which door opens first. That campus isn't yours to relax on. It's on loan, borrowed time. It belongs to W.B. Du Bois, to Ida B. Wells, to Thurgood Marshall, to John Lewis, to Chadwick Boseman, to Ella Baker, Langston Hughes, Rosa Parks, Toni Morrison, David Satcher, Booker T. Washington, Oprah, and everyone who fought to allow you to sit in the seat that you sit in. We were taught early is on time is late, and late is unacceptable. No one's coming back to give you a second first impression. We rest on Sundays, but we build today.
Well said. Well said.
I've been seeing it, not just at the airport. I've been seeing it at the store, at the mall. I've been seeing sisters showing up with these bonnets and headscarves and these slippers. And the question that I'm having to you, my sweet babies, when did we lose pride in representing ourselves? When did we step away of let me make sure I'm presentable when I leave my home? Let me make sure I'm representing the family I created so that if I'm out in the street, I look like I have pride in myself. And I'm not saying no full face of makeup. I'm not saying no full front lace frontal. I'm not saying none of that. All I'm saying is, could you please comb your hair? And if you don't want to comb your hair, they got enough shit out here now, baby, where you can style yourself up and look like you have pride.
I agree.
See so many people who were upset about the HBCU banning do-rags and bonnets on college campuses. Now, they didn't say that you couldn't wear these things while you were going to dorms or you was in the dorms or just, I think you could be on campus walking around in that stuff. But if you came to class, you had to dress appropriately. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not allowed, or you shouldn't be allowed, to go to school and walk in the classroom with a bonnet or a do-rag on your head, or come in there in pajamas, or something that's highly inappropriate for that setting. College is to prepare you how to be an adult. They're there to show you how the real world is and what they will and won't accept. Now, I don't even know why this is a big problem for so many of us when we know even in high school, you wasn't even allowed to wear a cap in classroom or once you walked into the building. Let's not forget that. When you walked into a classroom or a building in high school, middle school, or whatever, and you had a cap on, they would tell you to take that hat off, or some teacher would usually be standing by the door and just snatch it off your head and put it in your chest. But for some reason, people make this claim that now these are white supremacist tactics that they're trying to make you conform to some type of white supremacist way. That's just an excuse for you not to handle your business like you're supposed to as an adult. Do what you're asked to do. That's not conforming. That's not making you lower yourself. It's actually teaching you to have some standards, which is something that we need as a people so we can improve our situation and better ourselves. But y'all don't see that. Y'all just want to complain and be constant victims. Let it go. I think it was very funny to see.
You know, again, I'm going to just continue to add on what I mentioned. I feel like we're in a generation. Let me not say I feel like. I see that we're in a generation where the boundaries are constantly pushed. It's like a defiant generation. Just because we have freedom to do doesn't mean we should do. I'll say that again. Just because we have freedom to do doesn't mean we should do. I'm going to just use one example. It has nothing to do with school. I know this is a particular rap artist right now who's touring, and he's doing black tie events. Hell, I'll just say the name. Rick Ross is doing a black tie event He's doing his 20th anniversary, I believe. It's the 20th anniversary of Port of Miami, and he's doing a black tie event. I couldn't help but notice that in certain locations where he's toured, in certain states, I see people in the crowd not even following that black tie rule. All right, if you say it's a black tie event, it's a black tie event. But I'm just bringing this up to make the example of when I saw certain places that he's toured already from his past tours. I'm seeing people again with hats on, t-shirts, when it's advertised as a black tie event. And I'm bringing it up to say, I personally don't like when I see things like that, because if I get dressed up for a black tie event, I would hate to go into that particular venue and see someone standing beside me with a t-shirt and shorts, or a t-shirt and jeans, just because. I'll take it a step further. See, these things that that some of us are fighting over, it may not seem like a big deal to you now, but you'll get it when you get older and you want to have an evening out with your significant other. I've been in a nice restaurant, steakhouse, and I was dressed appropriate for the steakhouse. Button up, slacks, shoes. All right. And a couple came in with jeans, and I remember looking down at their feet. They had off-white sneakers on, multicolor off-white sneakers on, very fancy. And I don't remember their tops, but it was very, very, very casual. May even had a do-rag on. And I remember saying to myself, like, see, this is the ish I don't like. And why I say that is because, especially if you're celebrating a special occasion, your birthday, and so on and so forth, graduation, a promotion, if you get dressed up and you go out with your family to some place that is supposed to be fine dining. Now, I hold the establishment accountable for this now. I mean, in that scenario, I hold the establishment accountable for that. But when you get dressed up and you go to a certain venue and people don't abide by those policies, it's really, for lack of a better word, it's annoying, right? And it's disappointing, because you're saying to yourself, like, is it too much to ask to just put on slacks, put on a shirt? If you don't own it, buy it. And if you don't like that particular dress code for that restaurant, just don't go to that restaurant. It's simple. But these things, some things you just don't need to push the boundaries on it. And that's my thoughts in it, and I stand firm in that. Some things you don't need to push the boundary on. If you don't like the certain policies in certain places, just don't attend those places. And it's just that simple. But this whole the having the need to just push boundaries. Now, I get it. At some point in time, Tuskegee University probably allowed the bonnets and the do-rags, but that time has changed. You could either roll with it or choose another place to study.
Me to speak on the Tuskegee decision to ban do-rags and bonnets out of certain places on the university campus. And as a person who graduated from an HBCU, I do have an opinion. I want to be clear on where Tuskegee is banning these items from: classrooms, dining facilities and cafeterias, and official university events. I'm going to preface this. I dance, which means I was always in workout clothes and my hair was always tied up, because this shit is too much. But there were rules. As a person who was in the business department, I wasn't allowed to come in class looking any kind of way. If I was not in business attire, I was counted absent no matter if I showed up or not. And as a person who represented the school and dance, I could not walk around the campus looking any kind of way, or I would get in trouble at practice. And I did a lot. I like looking fucking bummy. I didn't want to be cute all the time, especially early in the morning. I had 5 a.m. practice and then I had to go to class. So I get the notion of just wanting to wear what you want to wear to class. But that does not prepare you for the future. You can't go into corporate America wearing sleeping clothes, slippers, and bonnets unless you have the great opportunity of working from home or working for a millennial who just don't give a shit. But this is where practice makes perfect. College is where you prepare yourself to be in a professional area. Most companies either have uniforms or they have corporate attire. You may get a Friday where you can wear jeans and a t-shirt, but in no place where they say you can wear a bonnet or a do-rag. You have to take that shit off before you enter the building. But why is it bad for a school to prepare you for the real life? Unless you are blessed to be in a position where you can work for yourself or work for a really chilled, relaxed company, those things will apply. Now, I do think the cafeteria is overdoing. These sports events, let them wear what the fuck they want. But I do think the classroom is where you're supposed to present your best self. You don't know what kind of connections you can make with your teacher. You don't know who's coming to speak. It's always best to be prepared and to put your best foot forward. I understand people be tired and not want to get up at 7 in the morning and put on clothes. You're going to have to do that shit anyways in real life. So me personally, I'm stuck in the middle. Classrooms is where I would ban everything. Anything outside of classroom, leave them fucking kids alone. Shit, it's already hard enough having to go to college. Give them some space to breathe. So people have been asking me to speak on the...
I agree with what she's saying. If not for nothing else, if it's just a classroom they're banning it, I could agree with that. And of course, when you enter spaces with the professionals, if you enter an administrative area, or if you have to speak to a faculty, I think you should be removing your do-rag out of respect on your bonnet. Now, if you're going to see a counselor, I would say not so much. But if you're going to talk, if business matters, if you're going to go to the bursar's office, if that even still exists, anything dealing with financial aid, I think you should be dressed appropriate without a do-rag and bonnet on your head. Doesn't mean you have to be in a suit or a dress, but take the do-rag and bonnet off the head when you're dealing with administrators. That's just my thought on it. Maybe it seems a little extreme, but that's just my thought on it. Because again, when you're in these professional settings, when you graduate and you're in front of professionals, if you think it's okay to show up in bonnets and a do-rag, you've been mistaken. All right? That time hasn't arrived yet where that has changed, to my knowledge. So I think you should be dressed accordingly. Now, yeah. I agree with everything she said. There's really not much that she said that I disagree with. I don't think there was anything, honestly, that I disagree with what she said. But I'm going to move on to the next one because I kind of lost my train of thought.
Tuskegee University, they put out there that they didn't want the kids wearing bonnets no more and do-rags. Now, I believe the do-rag thing was just so they didn't seem like they were attacking females. Because, when I was going to college, guys wear do-rags all the time, and I went to a HBCU, went up the road.
Let me pause it right there. And I like what he said when he went to college. Just understand this, time and a place, but let's speak on time. In high school, I get it if you're doing things like this, right? I get it. Why? Because in high school, in your teens, is all about just being reckless, wild, having fun, being goofy, all silly, all those things happen in high school. In high school, I went to a school where you had to wear uniform, shirt and tie, slacks, and shoes. That was the uniform, all right? But even with the uniform like that, I myself, along with my peers, we pushed the threshold of what you can get away with, whether it be a tie that's not all the way secured to the neck. It was loose. And in class, the teacher would tell you got to fix your tie. If the shirts were hanging out of your pants on one side because you were just too lazy or sloppy to tuck it in, they would tell you got to tuck your shirt in, especially when you walk in the hallway. We used to do things, I know it's going to sound crazy. We used to do things like take our pants and tuck it in our socks. Just teenage nonsense. I get it if you're in high school. But the funny thing is, without an adult having to tell me this, my vision of college was, this is the big league. And this is the mentality I believe most of you that are attending colleges or universities should be thinking. Once it was time for me to leave high school and go to college, I thought my vision of college was much stronger males. So that summer before going into college, I was hitting the gym, and I just looked at it as serious, no games. No one actually came to me and told me that. Now, I know I'm sharing my own personal take on it. I can't speak for the masses, but I always envisioned college was a no joke situation. Like, this is the big league. This is the one last phase of life before you're actually in a full-fledged adult having to get out there in the world. Now, some people opted not to go to college, so that's a different scenario. But for the most part, because I opted to go to college, I thought about it like, oh, this is the serious, this is the big league. Now, I went to college, and was it the big league? Yes and no. I mean, some of the childish ways that we entertained in high school did live well in college, in university, but it was a serious situation. It was you're responsible for planning your schedule. It's larger classes, auditorium sizes. It's just students from different neighborhoods, different. At one point in time, once the dorms were built, it was students from different states. It's the big league. It's pretty much the big league. High school would be like high school would be, how could I put it? It would be like the D League, and then college would be somewhat like the NBA to a degree. It's the big league. It's how you act there is going to really define how you act out in the real world, unless you decide to start your own business and you're serious about your own business, because your business only thrives if you're serious about your business, and it fails if you plan to slack in your business endeavors. So those would be the exceptions with the bonnets and do-rags. If you plan on going in and starting your own business, then that's probably why you look at it like the school is trying to suppress you. But if you are planning to work for someone, then you could just forget about it. Smarten up. Forget about the do-rag. Forget about the bonnet.
Right up the road in Montgomery, Alabama State, do-rags wasn't a problem. Now, maybe them being pink and flamboyant, putting a fucking bow on y'all head like y'all the prize, maybe that might be an issue, but I don't really find it a problem. And I see people defending it, they defending it, or not defending it and get mad. Oh, this is how we dress. I always use this as a rule of thumb. When I used to fly, especially when you're an employee's child or a dependent, they won't let you on the plane if you wear certain type of stuff, bruh. I remember late 2000s, 7, 8, 9, I was flying to school, and they refused to let these Beckies on, and they was an employee's daughter because they had leggings on, so they had to change out their leggings. You know what I'm saying? It's before women started wearing leggings like that. So, yeah, your appearance is everything, and I think people don't really understand that. People gonna treat you how you appear. Just as women, you watch that Pop the Balloon show, and they don't like what a guy wear, and they'll pop their balloon, because you can change what a guy can wear. But that first impression, that impression of what a person got on is how people gonna judge you. And most people not gonna be able to get past the title or the book. They said don't judge a book by its cover. And a lot of people ain't gonna get to chapter 1, the first page, the third page. They see you as you are. So, I mean, I'm not mad at the rule. I agree with it. Dress for success. Especially when you're talking about we preparing the future of this nation to go out here into the job force, and this whole we should be hybrid remote, which I don't disagree with that all the way. But when you go out to work, you represent Tuskegee. When you get that degree, you represent our institution when you go to this college. And I get people say, well, white people do this. Why? We ain't worried about white people. We understand we go out here into the world. We already, especially as black men, you got 2.5 strikes against you. 2 if you're lucky. So we understand we not on the same judgment scale as they are. But hey, just my opinion.
Another thing, I'm going to say 2 things. One, when you stay ready, you don't need to get ready. So if you stay ready, you never know what spaces you travel in. The day that you decide to stop off at a convenience store, at a Walmart, at a whatever you name it, BJ's, Costco, or any other place. It could be a mall. The day you decide to run in that place just to grab something, and you happen to be in respectable attire, you may never know who you brush shoulders with. Someone might notice you, and your first impression is right then and there. You see, people think that their first impression is on demand when they're ready to give a first impression. But sometimes people notice you when you don't think that they're looking at you, or you may not know them. Example that I'm trying to form is, you just never know who you're going to bump into outside. And this is, take it, like a grain of salt, or with a grain of salt. But if you're always dressed casual, but you want to be taken seriously, you may be missing opportunities that you didn't even know that you had, because certain people are observing you, and based on how you're carrying yourself, you may lose an opportunity. Whereas if you were dressed business casual, someone might notice you and ask you about yourself, and you may never know. And I know you might say, oh, that's a long shot, but you'd be surprised how things change based on how you're dressed and how you carry yourself, how you're walking, if you're walking with your chin up as opposed to your head down, so on and so forth. Well groomed, hygiene on point. All these things matter. Don't let anyone tell you these things don't matter. Well groomed, especially having your hygiene on point. All right. Let me move on to the next one.
Tuskegee University has banned bonnets and do-rags. And there's been a lot of different comments. I'm looking at the comments. People are applauding it. Some people are not. And of course, Tuskegee University, which is one of the most historical HBCUs, Tuskegee Airmen. You know what I mean? Come on. You got Lionel Richie went to Tuskegee University, and it was founded by Booker T. Washington. You know, he has a book called Up From Slavery, which I read in college. And my thing about this, it's, you know, there's a lot of different comments. And this is my theory about what the faculty is thinking, that it represents ghetto. You know, that they don't want to see that because it represents, you know, girls fighting in Walmart, dudes on the corner talking.
Oh, this is just a tip. I had to cut him off to say this. I went out for an interview, and it was a virtual interview. And for those of you that are like to be too comfortable, I was shocked when I was told by the person, by the interviewer, I appreciate that you wore a suit, even though it's virtual. Do you know you're the only one that's done that out of all the people that we've been interviewing? When I heard that, I said to myself, wow, we've gotten way too comfortable as a group, as a people. We've gotten way too comfortable. There's no reason why the interviewer should be thanking me for being dressed appropriate for an interview that's virtual. An interview is an interview. Again, what the gentleman said in the last clip, first impression. All right. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I was suited and booted from the waist up. From the waist down, I had on basketball shorts. But there was no way I was going to be so comfortable to ever think, oh, I'm in my home. It's just virtual. I'm going to wear a t-shirt. And that goes for any job, to be honest with you. When you know you need a job, and this, those of you watching this, if you're young, if you're a teenager, I don't care if you're interviewing for fast food. You put that shirt and tie on if it's a virtual interview. All right? And I'll tell you to take a step further and throw that jacket on. And you'll see how fast you get a call back. Because trust me when I tell you, as a grown adult, how many people are out there overly casual with the way they present themselves, and they fumble because of that reason. All right?
Crazy, making black people, it's all about image. I understand, like, working hard on the black image because, you know, the black image is always negative all around the world. It's so much anti-blackness, especially black American. They always think that everybody's a thug, everybody, even in this day and age when black folks have accomplished so much, when black women have they're most educated in America, the inventions of black Americans, that all that innovation, even through slavery, there's still negative connotations to whatever the black people do, black Americans, you know, and so on. But here's another thing, though. I think that college kids should be able to be comfortable, period. They should be able to be comfortable going to class, you know what I mean? I'm not saying wear anything skimpy or nothing, but wearing sweats, pajamas, whatever you got to do to feel comfortable academically. It's hard enough to go to class. You pay your tuition, you bust your to get these degrees, to write these papers. Sometimes you can be in a class that's so whack that you go, I at least want to be comfortable in it. I'm not going to wear a suit to class. I'm not going to wear a dress to class. You know, and the faculty has to understand, you act like these kids are going to go to a job interview wearing that. They're definitely not going to do that, but they should be able to be comfortable in class. That's what my friend was talking about. And she's an advocate for, black freedom. You know what I'm saying? And being in a black university, I think the whole purpose of being at a black university is not only to get academic achievement, but to be comfortable culturally, to be around your own people. See, I went to a PWI, predominantly white institution, so I didn't always have that kind of comfort. And to be in an all black university where everybody looks like you, everybody has different achievements and everybody's doing well, why can't I be comfortable also in my clothing and who I am? You know what I'm saying? It should be like, it's like, it feels like society always wants to control black everything. Your hair, your twist, you straighten your, everything has to be, I call it follicular control. Want to control your hair, want to control. Enough with that. We got to let black people be free. First of all, they're in class. They're not gang banging. They're not doing anything, out of order, man. They're in class. It's hard enough to get people in class, and they're there studying, and a lot of them are some of the smartest people with do-rags and bonnets. So, and they're not everybody's wearing a do-rag and a bonnet. I think you should leave them alone to be what they want to be. As long as they're doing their god schoolwork, man, who cares? You guys let me know what you feel. All right? Peace. So Tuskegee University.
So usually I agree with Godfrey, but I completely disagree with him on that one. It sounds like he would be an advocate for the movie Lean on Me. If you've never seen that, go check that movie out. Then there was also a movie with Samuel L. Jackson. I can't think of the name of that one, where both movies involving teachers. I just feel like when you're too casual, it's a recipe for disaster. I don't think I think the students become overly comfortable to the point where they're not taking the curriculum serious. I could be wrong on that, but that's my thoughts on that. I think, like the person above my thumbnail is saying, they say college is about learning to be a professional adult. It's not about it's not about being coddled. The new rule is 100% correct. I agree with it. The new rule is 100%. It's 100% correct. And I say that because, again, unless you're an inventor, unless you're planning to go into business, to potentially open up your own business, I can understand why you would be thinking that way about bonnets and do-rags. But if you're not going into business for yourself, if you're not an inventor, then you're going to have to understand that the world is not going to conform to you. You have to conform to the world. And if the masses, if the businesses that you're going after has rules and regulations, just get used to it. Again, college is preparation for the real world, and them changing their mind and deciding to implement this new dress code is much like the world. The world is not changing for you. And these students thinking that they're going to go into the real world and have it their way, they're mistaken.
A lot of commentary going around about Tuskegee Universities, which is a HBCU for those of y'all that don't know. Their new dress code basically says you can't wear bonnets, you can't wear do-rags, you can't wear sleepwear and things of that nature out on campus. I actually think both sides are talking past each other. Like everything in life, there is a time and a place for everything, right? And so if you're going to get breakfast on campus, like, who cares, man? Wear what you want. Like, campus is home. Where this gets a little dicey is campus tends to serve as like the building blocks of your network when you're on campus, right? And so presentation matters. The catch is how your presentation is judged is totally dependent on the environment. Like a three-piece suit on in the gym is just as out of place as a bonnet at a career fair. I think where a lot of our personal opinions start to cloud this conversation is our perspective on the consequences of that judgment. I actually think this argument is about two totally different philosophies. One says, don't do this or dress this way because they might use that to disqualify you. The other says, if I'm qualified and skilled enough to do the job, why does what I wear have anything to do with the conversation? And look, both are valid because, look, we've all seen overqualified people be overlooked for less, right? But in that same vein, in a college atmosphere, somebody can be top of their class, summa cum laude, all that type of stuff, and wear a bonnet to class. Look, maybe I'm putting a little too much sazon on top of this, but I think one is trying to prepare these kids for the world as it is, and the kids are trying to fight back and say, let's build the world as it should be. And if we're being honest, as usual, Progress probably sits somewhere in the middle. Don't confuse conformity with wisdom. And on the other side, don't confuse rebellion with progress. So there's a whole lot of commentary.
Well said. Listen, play that man's video again. Well said. Well said. That, what a way to conclude. I love how he worded it. I love the way he put it together. Well said. What is your thoughts on all this? As always, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tell a friend to tell a friend. I drop episodes daily at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And as always, stay honorable.